the day started off with Fabrizio Romano telling everybody that West Ham could expect a late surge of transfer activity. And I don't mean the good ones, I mean the bad ones. What he was saying was that clubs had taken note of the fact that West Ham had probably brought in a few too many players or had a good old spend up so far in the transfer window, and they were going to basically look to try and pull our pants down and try and get some of the players cheaper than we'd like to sell them for. Now, West Ham are not in a completely advantageous situation. I think we had probably not gambled, but probably reasoned that by this point in the window, we would have offloaded maybe Nayef Aguerd, we would have offloaded Maxwel Cornet, maybe Danny Ings. It would have been silly if we'd have banked on Kurt Zuma, but I think we'd thought that we'd have brought in some funds to offset a little bit of the money that we'd spent. That's not happened. Now, I think it was easy to look at what Fabrizio Romano had said as, oh, maybe later on in the window, people are going to come in with lower bids for Danny Ings, with lower bids for Cornet, with lower bids for Nayef Aguerd. But that's sort of already happening, really. I did the video earlier on, spoke about Nayef Aguerd. Since I recorded that video, which was in the early hours of this morning, sort of like 1 o'clock in the morning, there's been another bid has come in from a Saudi club. Al Ittihad have made an offer for Nayef Aguerd. It's really hard to know what to believe at this point because we've heard for so long that Aguerd wanted to move to the Saudi Pro League, and then his mate came out on Instagram last night and said he doesn't want to move to Saudi Arabia. He's looking for a top European club. Who knows what's going on there? That's anybody's guess. The Danny Ings situation is... well, it's pretty simple, really. I think Burnley have come in for him now. So he's got 2 offers. He can either go to Leeds or he can go to Burnley. It's whether or not he feels that he wants to drop down to the Championship. He's quite happy at West Ham. I think he quite likes it. He's got some good mates here and quite enjoys coming into training, quite enjoys working with the staff at the club. Does he feel that a drop down to the Championship is going to be good for him? I don't know. We've already shown that we'll subsidise his wages because we offered him the chance to go to Southampton. Apparently, reportedly, allegedly, he turned it down. So the offers are already coming in for the players we would like to offload. I don't know about I don't know who has bid for Maxwel Cornet, but only yesterday a top source at the club said we've had offers for all of our fringe players, but they don't want to go. Or they've rejected. Not they don't want to go, they've rejected the offers. Maybe there's a slight difference in the two things. Once you start appreciating that, you've got to read a little bit more into Fabrizio Romano's words. And he's got a lot right recently. Let's be absolutely fair to him here. So actually, you start turning your attention to maybe players that the club would rather keep, and then possibly one that we absolutely must keep. The absolutely must, not going to leave you hanging on that, is Edson Alvarez. We'll get back to him in a second. Ladies and gentlemen, I suggest to you James Ward-Prowse and Michail Antonio could become transfer targets within the next few days. Ward-Prowse is out of the team as it stands at the moment. He may well feature tomorrow against Bournemouth, but by and large, he's out of the team, isn't he? And we paid £25 million for him. I feel that's his value. I don't feel we were ripped off by Southampton at all. Whilst he might have not hit the heights in terms of the free kicks that we'd have hoped, his corners were absolutely brilliant, and he was just as effective as he's always been. There were points last season where James Ward-Prowse was creating as many opportunities, even though they were from set pieces, as anybody else in the league. There were points where you looked at the stats and he was up there and he was up the top. I feel we got our £25 million worth. Quite possibly there's going to be somebody coming in and offering us far less than his value. And whilst we don't want to sell him, we're quite happy for him to sit around in the squad. There's 2 things. Number one is James Ward-Prowse happy? And number 2, are we going to have actually clawed any money back with the likes of Cornet, Ings, and of course Nayef Aguerd? So it may well be that a James Ward-Prowse offer becomes too hard to resist because we've not sold anybody else. Some clubs are banking on that. Michail Antonio one's an interesting one. He's always had an interesting relationship with West Ham. He's been a brilliant player for West Ham. He's been a great servant. Signed him from Nottingham Forest. I mean, just years ago, absolutely years ago. I mean, he played at Upton Park, didn't he? So he's been here a long time. But there's always been rumours that maybe he could leave. I think he wants to be the main man. He sees himself as the main man, and I've always sort of got the impression that another project might appeal to him. Well, this factors in that West Ham are probably not out the market for a forward yet. So if Danny Ings and Michail Antonio were to go, we would bring another forward in. The club have absolutely rubbished any suggestions that it would be Tammy Abraham. And maybe, just maybe, it's not anyone else saying this, but maybe just maybe the Duran deal is not dead yet. I do wonder, even if we get to the point we'd rather not sell Antonio or James Ward-Prowse, a bid comes in and we sort of can't say no. Particularly with Antonio, he is on big wages. He's either the third or the fourth highest earner at the club. Which brings us nicely on to Edson Alvarez. And Romano has now basically indicated twice that we can expect late bids for Alvarez. One of them he named him directly, the other one he sort of did it by stealth. Manchester United are interested. I don't know at the point of recording this video whether Scott McTominay's gone to Italy or that's still pending, or he's had his medical, or I don't know, has there been hold up? It's Napoli, I think it's Napoli's holding up the shirt. I don't know. But what I do know is that Manchester United, once they've offloaded McTominay, are going to try and make a play for Edson Alvarez. That's going to be really interesting. Look, let's be fair, none of us are overly concerned if we lose Cornet, Aguerd or Ings. There might be one or two of you watching this, but by and large I would suggest 99.9% of the people watching this video don't care. There'll be a bigger chunk of people who think, well, hold on, I don't want to lose Antonio, I don't want to lose Ward-Prowse. There'll be next to nobody that probably wants to lose Edson Alvarez. But I think it's coming. I really do. I think there's a bid coming for him. I think this is going to be really interesting the last couple of days. And when I say the last couple of days, I don't know how interesting Wednesday's going to be. Because we got a game. I'm not sure how much business gets done on game day. It's only a game for us, isn't it? Well, not only a game for us, but the teams that are in European competition are not playing. So, we're not playing the Carabao Cup at least. So they can do business. They're open for business. We're probably not. Which only leaves a couple of days, basically, for this transfer window for deals to get done. Carlos Soler is on hold, pending. He's in the waiting room. He's in the green room, Carlos Soler. The deal is agreed. He's ready to join. But I can understand how Carlos Soler and Paris Saint-Germain might be getting sort of itchy trigger fingers and saying, well, hold on a second, you said you'd have this deal done by now. You said you were going to offload players. Where are they? So the thing is, West Ham are only trying to sell the players that we don't want anymore. We do still want, I think, James Ward-Prowse and Antonio. A bit. A lot. We do want Edson Alvarez. Absolutely, definitely 100%. It's going to be really, really interesting. Anyway, I bring you this news now. That is an update. At the point, I'm going to try and produce this video now. Anything could happen. Stuff has been changing all day. I mean, the Tammy Abraham story is a really, really good case in point. People were reporting that. You know, Italian journalists reporting that as almost fact earlier. And, you know, it just doesn't appear to be the case. You know, and to be fair to the club, the top sources at the club have been saying it for, you know, a few days now. There's no truth in this whatsoever. They're not beyond putting out a little bit of false information. I don't feel this is. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow morning. Absolutely. How much transfer news there is at that point, I'm not entirely sure. We're going to try and do a build up to the game, Carabao Cup against Bournemouth later on in the evening. But, you know, look, quite frankly, throughout the day, anything can happen.